What's up, brewskis? My name is Marco Dupa, and with me as always, the great and powerful, it's Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
What's up?
Tonight's brew is from Atlas Brew Works. Now, this is a special delivery from friend of the show and just all around great human being and friend of us, Spencer. He's from the D.C. area, or at least he's not from, but he lives in the D.C. area. Grabbed a couple of things for us from a couple of breweries out there. So we are starting with this one, and Adam is going to have a little bit more on the beer itself after the break. What's on tap? Boy, howdy, has it been a week in pop culture and just in general. But we're going to keep it to pop culture.
Yeah.
So we're going to do ourselves a little mini trailer trash. We're going to talk about the implications of what it means now that Paul Levesque, a.k.a. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, has taken over creative at the House of WW.
I just call him.
And last but not least, Rockstar finally giving us just a squeeze of information on GTA 6 and already rife with controversy.
Yeah.
And so, let's get all up in that bitch. This is episode 362 of the One Beer In podcast.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. Takes me to a place where
This is the One Beer In podcast, the podcast where two brews crack open a brew and we see where that one brew takes us. So without further ado, Obi, tell the people a little bit more about what we're drinking tonight.
I would love to. This is the Atlas Brew Works District Common Craft Beer. Excuse me, craft lager.
It's just a beer.
It's just a beer. Brewed by Atlas Brewing Works, LLC, Washington, D.C. Beer brewed in the district. AtlasBrewWorks.com.
You got it.
It's
a cold read. It's cold.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
This is a solar powered beer, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I didn't want to lay this on early, but there isn't a cold read for the beer itself. However, instead, they have a fun fact in the back, which is nice. So there's
technically a cold read, sort of.
Yeah, kind of. There's a picture here. Maybe I can take one we can insert into the show itself.
I can, yeah.
It's of a contraption of some sort. And it says Hancock fountain pen.
Cock.
Pen. Uncovered in the catacombs of Beacon Hill, the Hancock estate in Boston. This pen scratched the first signature of a new nation and forever transformed our forefathers from British heretics to brave heroes. So yeah, that's a lot for a beer can.
Yeah, it is.
It also does say you can pair this beer with lemon chicken, local oysters, and pork medallions. It comes in at a light, crisp 5.1%, 12 degrees P. I know what that means. 20 IBU and 8 SERM. That's SRM. I don't.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know what that means either.
Neat. It's cool.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Not a traditional cold read, but a cold read nonetheless.
We've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
No, that's fun.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Ooh, that's nice.
DC brewed.
It's nice.
All right, let's jump right into this with a little bit of trailer trash. Wakanda Forever.
You have to.
Just a cute little.
For everyone listening, a silent X across our arms.
So Comic-Con is it still going on as of the recording?
No, I think it's over.
Okay, so Comic-Con
San Diego
has come,
Comic-Con.
yeah, the San Diego Comic-Con, which is like the Comic-Con. It's the con.
Yeah.
Where all of the big shit gets announced. Marvel had a fucking free-for-all out there. Of course. Just slanging and banging, baby. Just throwing everything against the wall. Letting people know that we hear your cries. We hear your criticisms. And guess what?
We don't care. We will continue to make this stuff.
And on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff to be excited about. There's a lot of stuff that, may raise some concerns, some eyebrows, what have you. We're not going to spend the entire episode talking about Comic-Con. Sure. We're going to give you a cute little trailer trash on this Wakanda Forever because it was just a teaser and one of the most highly anticipated projects coming out of Marvel. I'd say this, maybe Guardians 3 and Blade.
Yeah.
Probably the ones that are most like, give us some more information on.
Yeah.
And obviously people's criticisms of like what's next for like what is happening in Phase 4 and like what's the point?
What's
of
the
all
plan?
This?
Is there a plan?
Yeah. So let's just dive right in. Wakanda Forever. Beautiful trailer.
Yeah. Very emotional. As you said, very sad.
Yes.
Just very melancholy.
Yeah.
Bummed
me the fuck.
I was gonna say, as I said to you personally, almost distractingly so, in my opinion. Like I understand this is the first look. We're supposed to get a general sense of the, emotional feel of the movie, which, inherently is going to be emotional.
Yeah.
But it's almost distractingly like somber, and I understand, superhero movies aren't a genre unto themselves. They can be kind of anything. I'm just curious to see if that's going to work while also telling like a story with ups and downs and feeling like they can move on from the in-universe tragedy of losing T'Challa and the real-life tragedy of losing Chadwick Boseman.
I'll say the first movie, as good as it wasn't that consequential as far as the universe is considered.
No, it was.
If you think about it.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, it was kind of. I feel like it was almost like a launch pad for that character and the universe of that character.
Right. I mean, it was one of the better origin story movies. So, I think at the end of the day, like people have their criticisms and stuff about the original movie, and like maybe it's a little overrated. Did it deserve to get an Oscar nomination for Best Film of the Year? I don't know. Probably not. No. When you think about it, but for all that, it's still an incredible movie, and it is, I think, top 3 first movies in the universe, or in the cinematic universe rather. So I don't expect this second one to do anything outside of that. I had expected to just like continue all of their stories. I don't expect it to be this big. I don't expect it to be like Civil War or like Iron Man 3 or something like, big consequential.
I feel like, again, there's no room for that with all the tragedies swirling around it. Like it's going to have to, this movie is going to have to sort of reset the deck of what Black Panther is.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. It's going to have to be another origin story, essentially.
Yeah.
With characters that we already know. So
it's tough. It's tough, man. It's kind of like fuck. I mean, immediately when he died, I mean, as terrible as it sounds, it's like that's a horrible tragedy. What are they going to do?
Well, we talked about it on the show when it happened. Like it is one of those things that he was so iconic in that role that you have to wonder how they're going to play this out. Because and again, it's such an important character in the MCU that it needs to be addressed. They can't just be like, T'Challa's out now. They can't pull like a Fast and Furious.
And I know that their plan was always to have his sister take over, but that was supposed to be like in the 3rd or 4th.
Sure,
movie.
yeah.
It was,
it is a storyline. It's a comic book storyline for that to happen. But I guess they're just kind of forced into doing that now instead of later.
I am very, very intrigued at the idea of them killing him off in the movie. Because I wonder how they're going to do that. Because he has to be killed off screen.
Sure.
Unless it's all CG or unless they filmed enough like B-roll to get something out of him.
I don't think they would do that though. That's gross, you know, like
you think?
Yeah,
I mean, killing him to show him getting killed?
Him get killed, you know, when he is dead now. Like, I don't know. I feel like that would be too much. I can almost guarantee that they're going to do it off screen. And it just be this like emotional gut punch. My because I wasn't even thinking that. I'm like, you know, I think there's almost no chance that happens. But my bigger question is, how are they going to explain it away? Is it going to be a character that kills him, or is it going to be just, you know, an accident? Is he going to be killed saving people? You know, make him this martyr and hero?
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious as to how they deal with it, because that's obviously it's such a tightrope walk.
That has to be the way that they do it, right? He's like, he gets crushed by some building while people are like running out or something like
saving
that.
babies or, you know.
Yeah, because they have murals up of him on everything. Like, he is seen as this martyr.
Sure.
In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting.
It reminds me a lot of like how they're doing Iron Man.
Yeah.
You know, like there's murals of Tony Stark everywhere, and there's a reverence for him, and, you know.
Yeah.
So I think they may take a play out of that playbook.
It's just, again, you see him sacrificing himself, and obviously, like you said, it'd be a little more difficult to actually show it.
It's like really morbid. I don't know.
Yeah. But at the same time, like the emotional heft of seeing him do that, and then seeing the consequences of those actions in the subsequent films is really interesting.
Yeah.
To have him just be killed off screen. I mean, I guess it's as simple as like in Independence Day, how they killed off Will Smith's character. They just did he just crashed his plane.
He's gone.
And they just like.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll go as far as like showing the aftermath and maybe like, you know, his mask laying there or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like just kind of off screen, but you still see the carnage that was involved with what happened.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the trailer itself, because we spent too much speculating on one aspect of it. But the trailer itself, like you said, somber, almost to a fault. Mm-hmm. But it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Cinematography wise, it looks incredible.
And they bring back pretty much everyone from Black Panther that you're used to seeing.
Yeah. It looks like they're gonna have Angela Bassett just really lifting.
Of course.
Really throwing her weight around, just fucking rough.
At the peak of her power.
Yeah, which I'm a fan of.
Of course.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be?
Right.
Oh, we did get to see the villain, Namor.
Namor, the first mutant.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I don't know. He looks cool. I'm a little concerned with like doing the over CG thing, especially with all the MCU fallout for, you know, overworking all of their artists.
Yeah. I think we're a little past that. I don't know how you go back to not having as much CG in these movies.
Well, especially so soon. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see ripple effects from all of those people coming out and speaking out against like terrible work conditions.
We're already seeing it. Already seeing a bunch of people haven't gone public, but there's, I don't know if you saw that article, some big article in, I don't remember what magazine, but yeah, they were talking about the working conditions, not just like actual artists. Were like, I'll never work for them again.
Yeah,
you know, I see coworkers breaking down all the time.
Yeah,
or overworked, understaffed, and how Marvel bullies these effect houses. They're like super nefarious and dark and gross.
They're the biggest name in the game, so they're going to dangle that weight over the artists who are struggling, working, you know, 7 hours a week.
I don't know, man. It's just sometimes you get wrapped up in the image that they purport, and even as an adult, sometimes I'm like, damn, I can't believe that they did that. You know, They make comic book movies. You would think that everybody is like having the time of their lives.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, the actors go out there and they talk about how much fun the movies were made, and there's all this camaraderie and stuff, and you just think like, oh, it must be a fucking thrill ride. It must be just a walk in a theme park every day you show up to set, and you don't think about like Marvel being this like shitty
corporation, conglomerate
that's just like, get it done now.
I don't care how you do it, you're gonna do it though.
Kevin Feige's just walking around slamming people's heads on desks.
Yeah, always be closing.
Tammy over here is tired. Did you hear that? Tammy's tired. You know what, Tammy? You can go home and sleep all you want because you're fucking fired.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Slaps people with an infinity gauntlet.
He walks around with the gauntlet on.
He goes, "You're fired.
Like,
you're fired.
Wait, is he serious?
You're fired.
Is he serious?
Hey, 50% of you guys fired.
Out.
I don't care who it is. You pick."
He does the Joker. Snaps a pool table. Make it fast.
Yeah.
Expanding our team.
What does he say? Aggressive expansion.
Aggressive expansion.
Yeah.
That's such a good. So
That's good.
I don't know.
Remember when movies were good,
right?
Anyway, so yeah. My point in bringing that up is just I do think we're going to see them have a reckoning.
Yeah. That's coming soon.
And either
coming
start
to a theater near you.
Literally.
Marvel's Reckoning.
pulling back a little bit on that aggressive those aggressive tactics in the workplace.
Yeah. Well, now that somebody's blown the whistle, like, you can't go back.
No, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
No.
But for now, we have a ton of that apparently in this new movie because a lot of it's underwater, and I don't know. That's one ping I'll give it against it is that I don't know. Unless you are Avatar 2, underwater scenes just remind me of Star Wars, like the prequels. I don't know. I can't shake that vibe, but that's just what I was thinking the entire time that we're seeing like these underwater people swimming around.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, story-wise, seems interesting that there's this underwater tribe and there's a war in Wakanda and this new threat, and again that mixed with new people taking up the mantle of the defenders of Wakanda and Black Panther is interesting.
And we didn't get a ton of information, which is the other thing. It's a good teaser because it didn't spoil a lot or anything really, as far as we know, and just looks good. So
yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna say not trash.
Not trash. No.
Trash. Not trash. All right. So I don't know. What do you guys think? You speak for yourselves. You let us know. Wakanda Forever, trash, not trash. Hit us in the comments.
Yeah.
All right. One of the bigger stories that has come out in sports entertainment, it's real to me, damn it, has been another reckoning in an industry.
Sure.
Which is that Vincent Kennedy McMahon, the godfather of modern wrestling as we know it. He didn't invent wrestling, but he is the guy who, for all his faults, and there are many.
Sure. Let me count the ways.
He is the guy who spearheaded what is modern sports entertainment. What you think of when you think of wrestling is all thanks to Vincent McMahon. So, that being said, turns out he's a real no good guy. He's what you would call a scumbag.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you couldn't tell by
never thought.
by the way that he wrote the episodes, by the way that he treated the women who worked for him, by just his all-around demeanor, by the fact that he thought it was okay for him to say the N-word to a black man's face and wear a do-rag. I mean, the list goes on.
God. I couldn't believe that actually happened.
No, it's incredible. It was incredible. And he says it. What's great about that is he says it to John Cena, when Cena was doing his Thugonomics thing, which is already kind of problematic. He's doing that thing, and Vince McMahon says it to him, and then walks And then off screen, it cuts to Booker T. And he's like, did he just say that? Like, yeah, Book, he did. What are you going to do about it? You obviously okayed it.
Yeah.
Or was just powerless to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Which
Power
is-
dynamics.
yeah.
Let's talk about power dynamics.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So, all of the evidence that would lead you to believe that this man is probably not the greatest human being in the world has come to a head in 2022 because there's been an internal investigation and they have found that he paid off multiple women, not just one, not just two, an innumerable amount of women paid off to not come forward with sexual assault allegations. He had an affair with multiple women, consensual, but obviously they didn't want it coming out that the face of this company was not playing a character, but was indeed a scumbag in real life.
Yeah.
And you know they have a lot of people to answer to with the stockholders and whatnot.
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
a whole board of people now that run that company. It's a
Well, I mean,
publicly traded company.
It's called method acting, and if you can't handle it, then
I mean, that's what he should have done. That's what he should have said. It's funny when the allegations first came to light, his response was, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back on TV and just start announcing things and pretending like it wasn't going on." And everyone was like, "Are you going to even acknowledge that this is happening to you
hey,
right
we
now?"
heard some things. You okay?
And he just tried to, like most rich white men do when they get caught and stuff like this, the first couple of months they either pretend like it's not going on or try to pretend like it's not as big as it is and just kind of hope that it's going to get swept under the rug.
It's a witch hunt.
Yeah. And then and then they turn it into, you know, they're coming after me for this, that, and the other thing.
They're jealous.
So he finally steps down as CEO, and if basically to give you guys some context of how the company kind of gets run, there are a couple of people who are in McMahon's like inner circle, but McMahon has the final say on literally everything that happens, down to what the announcers say. He is notorious for being backstage with an earpiece and a mic yelling at the announcers to what they should and shouldn't say. Like he runs the whole show. He is the executive producer. He is the director. Sometimes he's the actor. He has his hands in everything.
Talk about bad work environments.
Yeah. So with this shuffle, I guess Stephanie, his daughter, has now taken over as CEO. She's co-CEO with another guy. I forgot his name. Nick Khan. They're the CEOs. Triple H, former wrestler, now behind the scenes guy, is taking over for creative. And this is a big deal in WWE, namely because Triple H is credited as being responsible for NXT,
Right.
which was their like development program, which has turned into like their third show because it's become so popular.
Yeah.
He was the guy who spearheaded that, him and Shawn Michaels. Most of the decisions that got made, this was basically his pet project. And they just kind of gave him the reins on this thing. And for a good like 5 or 6 year span, it was like the premier show.
Right.
It was the best thing that was happening in wrestling. The guys that were coming to the show were all a bunch of indie guys who were getting signed by Triple H because he's got his ear to the ground. And he's signing these indie starlets, bringing them in, making them stars. Then they get shipped up to the main shows, and then they get squashed and their careers take a nosedive.
We don't worry about that, though.
No, that's all past.
Yeah.
So the thought was that Triple H was going to take over for Vince McMahon eventually anyway,
Right.
because of what he was doing with NXT. But then they start talking about the ratings for NXT. It's not doing too well. Now we don't like these guys because they're too small. They're too flippy floppy. There's these guys that they do the flippy shit, as it's called. And Triple H's kind of reputation takes not a nosedive, but it takes a hit.
Sure.
As a guy who was kind of entrusted with the reins to a guy who was like, well, he can't sell a product. He can bring in, these weirdos and flippy guys and people will be entertained, but can he sell a product? Can he sell a t-shirt? Can he get ad revenue? Didn't look like he could do it, right? But now with this internal shakeup, they kind of have no choice, right? They have other guys who are in Vince McMahon's inner circle who could run the show, but it seems like they're taking a chance on a well-balanced breakfast here.
Sure.
With Stephanie McMahon kind of running the show, but Triple H kind of running the creative.
Yeah, they've diversified their bonds, if you will.
Yes. And another thing, I don't know if you know this, they changed their rating. They're no longer a PG program.
Ooh.
They've gone to TV 14.
Wow.
Which is another really big deal. And the timing on this is not coincidence.
Okay.
This change, this is a big deal, man. You might see, wrestling will never return to the heyday of the late 90s, early 2000s when they were doing but nobody can really do those numbers.
I was going to say the world isn't going to return to the heyday of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
In the late 90s.
Yeah, you just can't. Sitcoms and big streaming shows like Stranger Things do those numbers. Nobody else does those numbers anymore. But I do think you might see kind of a resurgence of the quality of the show. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty excited.
Well, and I'm curious with that bump, because actually I meant more so the gratuity, the violence, the blood, the boobies, all the stuff that everyone tuned into in that era. I don't think you can go back to that.
No. And they're not going to. The plan isn't, as far as I know, the plan isn't to do that.
And that was going to be my question was, what do you think this change in rating is heralding? Because it has to be something. They did it for a reason. They didn't do it for nothing.
Yeah.
So what do you think this is all pointing to?
I don't think you're going to see, Inferno matches and bra and panty matches. Those aren't coming back.
Right.
But I do think that you're going to see more mature themes, which is good, because if you let a lot of these guys and girls are really, really talented, and the fucking shackles that McMahon had on creative was stunting the growth of some of these guys. If you look at Roman Reigns, for instance, the minute that they finally decided to, kind of let go and say, let's go with the flow. People don't like him, and so let's play off of that.
Yeah.
You can't sit here and tell me with a straight face that they propped him up as the face of the company and as a good guy for 5 years to lay the foundation to turn him heel. I don't believe that. I believe that they let him headline 4 straight WrestleManias, and he's good looking. He's The Rock's cousin. He has a decent skill set. He's a sellable face if you can pull it off. I think that's what they were banking on.
Yeah.
And the crowd was like, fuck you and fuck him.
It's too perfect.
Yeah.
You don't get off that easy.
Exactly. Wrestling fans are notorious for that.
Yeah.
If it seems like it's too made up and too packaged for them, they turn on it.
They're savvy.
Yeah, they are. For you say what you will about wrestling fans, and you can say a lot. They're savvy.
Yeah.
And so they finally accepted that he wasn't going to be Mr. John Cena 2.0
right.
or even The Rock 2.0. He had to be his own guy. Once they start letting him do that, look what's happened.
Sure.
It's been, no exaggeration, revolutionary.
Yeah.
He's done a 180 for his character and for his career. He's the hottest thing in WWE. Yeah. He's held the belts for I don't even know how long. He's a double champion. They let him whoop Brock Lesnar multiple times. He's and no one's getting tired of it. He's on a hot streak.
Yeah.
So much so that his cousins, the Usos, they're the tag team champions because they've done this whole like faction with the bloodline, and like he is the hottest thing.
Yeah.
All it takes is just letting these guys kind of do what they do.
And I don't know why you wouldn't. That takes such hubris for you to think that you know better than the person who's supposed to be out there doing it every night.
Have you seen Vincent McMahon?
I have. But, you know, like, of course, it's not going to work out for everyone. Not everyone has the best idea.
No,
you
right.
know? So, but, you know, let them go out there. Let them make a mistake. Let them fail. And then figure out what to do with them.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a pretty simple system. It's not like once you premiere your character, you can't go back and like tweak it or completely reinvent yourself.
Multiple times wrestlers have done that. So.
Yeah. I just don't understand the apprehension to let them do what they do.
There's a lot of strange things that the company has let happen in the past couple of years that I can only attribute to fear of, losing even one viewer. If they feel like they have a thing that they can maintain and hold on to, like let's say they have 3 million viewers and they look at that episode and they go, this is what worked, this is what didn't. They're not going to take a chance on losing even one viewer because they're like, this is what's working. This is what the stockbrokers are here for. This is what the board accepts. This is like, this is the thing. It's crystallized. Like, don't fuck with it.
Right.
Which is like when they did all those releases the last couple of years with COVID and with everything going on, they had to release a bunch of people. But one of the biggest releases was Bray Wyatt. And I, on this show, talked about how good of before he got released.
Yeah.
I think it was probably, I don't think we were doing the cheers yet, but I talked about at length how good Bray Wyatt is.
Yeah.
And how good his character was, the Fiend and the Firehouse, Firefly House, and like all the shit that he was doing. I was fucking mesmerized. It brought me back to watching it on like a semi-weekly basis or just watching clips and stuff. I was like, this dude is absolutely crushing it week in and week out. And they fucking released him. He had one of the highest contracts, and I think that was also probably part of it.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying that when he did get released.
Yeah, he was getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah, that they were just,
but he deserved it.
They looked at the accounts and was like,
yeah, we're like, we can take a hit on this. And that's the thing. That's the thing. You go back to CM Punk's infamous pipe bomb, and one of the things that he said in that promo was, "I'm just a spoke on the wheel. The wheel's gonna keep turning. When I'm gone, you guys are gonna keep buying those cups. You're gonna keep supporting this company." And he's right.
Yeah.
No matter what. For some reason, there's like a dedicated 3 to 4 million people
who
will show up week in and week out no matter what they put in front of them.
It's just their thing, and that's what makes it appear to be too big to fail. But it, of course, is not. And any time someone says this thing is too big to fail, it never is.
Right.
Look at the Titanic,
Timely reference.
Thank you. That's what we're about on this show. But yeah, no, I am curious as sort of a wrestling, mostly outsider. I dip a toe from time to time. How having someone like Triple H as essentially the creative director of the entire thing, how that's going to go, because he is from that late 90s prime time era. That we look back at fondly, and maybe having someone that was boots in the ground at that time will lend itself to giving these guys a bit more leeway as far as what their act is going to be, how they want to perform, their entire persona.
Well, he's lived through it all, Yeah, he was there in the early 90s with a shitty character. He's a prime example of a guy who looked like, all right, what are we doing with this dude? What can he? And then immediately was like, this is, saw a chance, or was given a chance rather, and took it and ran with it to the tune of being one of the most popular superstars of all time.
Yeah,
one of the most highly decorated champions, and not only that, but lasting from the 90s into the early millennium into today. If he wasn't forced out due to injury, I mean, there was plans for him to have one more match, and he had that one match with Batista at like WrestleMania 34 or 35, and he could still go. Like, he could still go. So, and the guy's been doing it for years. He knows what it takes. I think this is going to be interesting to see, like, how much, because there are rumors. I've seen a lot of people speculating that this is kind of like a figurehead kind of thing to kind of appease the internet fans, that he's not really in control, that it's more of like a collective effort and all that stuff. And kind of how it was with NXT. You thought that he was in control, but then the minute that they decided they didn't want to experiment with, you know, little English guys anymore, then it was fucking done. It was over. Yeah. They just started bringing in beefy guys and going like, this is just going to be Raw 2.0. Fuck you.
I just love how much conspiracy theories there are within the wrestling community. Because it's like you can't tell what's real or not. No. So there's an inherent like distrust in every news article that comes out. Yeah. It's like, where's the line? Where is the line for, okay, this is actually happening in real life? Like, no, there's legal proceedings happening. Yeah. Because even looking at the Vince McMahon stuff, I'm like, publicity. Yeah. You know?
Well, and the thing about that is it gets more conflated because they understand that people are reading Reddit and the dirt sheets and stuff, and so they will feed like fake information that looks real to kind of throw you off the scent of
Disinformation
something.
Act.
Yeah, and it's crazy. They've gotten in on it. The only way to know for real is when a wrestler either breaks character or it gets reported outside of any kind of like a WWE affiliate or something. Yeah. So if you see it on like fucking Bleacher Report or even worse like CNN or Fox News or something, you're like, oh shit, that actually happened.
Takes a lot of work. Takes a lot to get there though.
It does. Yeah. It does. A lot of that is fucking. They're very careful about how
highly insulated.
Very, very, very much so.
Well,
so it's going to be interesting. I mean, you know, if you guys, if you're not interested in that, sorry, you just skip this whole bit.
Yeah.
But
it's fine.
I would say if you're even a casual wrestling fan, that the next year or so is going to be fun to see what they do with it.
Sure.
This is a very, very wide open opportunity to kind of just go crazy and see what happens, because the TV14 thing is a big deal, whether Vince McMahon is leading it or not. Switching to TV14 is like saying we're trying something new, and you haven't seen that in years.
Yeah.
You know, all of their stuff has seemed to be well packaged, polished, and funned through many, many layers.
Yeah,
and
very
approval.
Very safe.
Yeah.
Do you think that has, the final question on the subject, do you think that has anything to do with AEW and the success of AEW?
I think that they would pretend like it doesn't, but I think it does. There's a lot of people who say that WWE is too big to even notice AEW at this point, but you would be a fool to not assume that they're not looking at how successful that AEW has been with a TV14 rating. They were TV14 from the jump.
Right.
And they've done some like really violent shit on TV.
Yeah.
And I mean, kind of reminded people of wrestling in its Attitude Era heyday.
Yeah, it's
not just WWE, but WWE and WCW and ECW. It is refreshing. Like when AEW is on, like when they're doing shit, when they're doing good stuff, like their shit is it's a good product.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a lot of fluff, and they're starting to kind of look like WCW, taking in a lot of old WWE guys and trying to, you know, ride the coattails of these older dudes.
Nostalgia.
And it, you know, if home, I fucking forgot the owner's name. His last name's also Khan. If he's smart, he'll jump off of that and start helping like these younger guys. I'll get off from here. But I hope that Triple H will go back to doing what he was doing when he was running NXT, which was bringing in younger talent and giving them leeway to, as you said, make mistakes, develop their character, and figure it out along the way. Because there is some young, hot talent that doesn't get a chance because we're just WWE or wrestling in general is just so built on nostalgia. It's crazy. It's one of the only media entities that survives in part because of how much we won't let go of the past. Whether it's the guys from the 80s, then the guys from the 90s, and now the guys from the early 2000s. Like, we're bringing back fucking, Kurt Angle and these like ruthless aggression era guys. And it's like, just let these young guys go, man. Let these young guys do their thing. And, we'll see. We'll see.
That's partially our entire generation's fault for being such nostalgia heads. So,
I'll say this. I'm one of those guys that are like, I'm sick of seeing the older dudes. I'm sick of it. Even my favorite guys. I'm like, I don't need to see Stone Cold Steve Austin come.
Sure.
I can watch him come back and do like a hosting gig or something, but I don't need to see him wrestle again.
No. It's diminishing returns every time. It sucks more and more the more that they do it over time.
And you know what? Even if Steve Austin can go like he did, and he can't, but he looked good when he fought Kevin Owens. It was a good match. It was fun. All of that time, all those bits where he's fucking stunning this guy and this guy and this guy, and he's doing his thing, and the match was like a 20-minute match, so they gave him time to go. All that time could have been dedicated to someone else, someone that they could be building up to be the next star, the next guy.
Yeah.
But they send like their pet project, Austin Theory. They send him out there, and what does he do? He takes a fucking stunner. Like, why? It's just It's just shit like that. So
move on. Let's move on.
We're moving on. So going in a completely different direction. Video game news. Rockstar finally giving us some information about the probably one of the most anticipated video games of all time.
Yeah.
GTA 6. Mostly anticipated because they've waited so long. I mean, have you has there ever been a game with the lifespan of GTA 5?
I mean, like World of Warcraft probably, but
oh yeah, I guess true. Yeah,
I mean that's
but that
I mean that's
but
a
it was
half truth.
built
to
be
expansions
that.
and
See, if GTA 5, if they just went back and they were like, it's just Grand Theft Auto now. It's not GTA 5 with all these. It's like, this is the game, and we're just going to expand on it from this point forward. I think less people would be upset.
Yeah.
And not be waiting for a sequel.
Well, that was my theory. I think like last year or the year before that was like, it's been too long. Like they just it's been. They need to just move on and make the next one, because we're in this place of technology just being essentially add-ons and DLC and like these incremental updates. They just need to make something called Grand Theft Auto and make it something that it's a singular game that they just keep adding stuff to over the years. Make that game every 10 years. 10 years. 10 to 15 years. Just make that the platform and work on that through the generations of console and PC, whatever.
Yeah.
That would have made the most sense to me. But despite that, they've announced that they're going to make Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah.
Officially Grand Theft Auto 6. Reportedly going to be in Vice City. Return to Vice City. I'm assuming...
Well, they said an unnamed Miami City, which is like...
it's Vice City. Come on.
City. Like, what do we...
Yeah.
Unless it's not, and it's like, but why would you do that? Why would you return to Miami?
They're definitely doing Vice City again.
Yeah.
I assume contemporary. I don't think it's going to be another, like, 80s
I hope
throwback.
So.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll be a flashback or something where you're in the old school Vice City. But the big headline of this entire thing is that, much like Grand Theft Auto 5, you're going to have an option to play as multiple characters.
Yeah.
But it's going to be set up as apparently at least a duo, a Bonnie and Clyde, as they say, situation, which obviously is going to be the first time you're able to play as a female protagonist in Grand Theft Auto.
In the history of this franchise.
Yeah. So, interesting. interesting given the headlines I remember from when GTA 3 came out and everything beyond of it being this misogyny simulator.
Yeah.
Where you can
Misogyny simulator.
kill hookers and steal their money.
Hey. They're sex workers.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. No, I'm using the verbiage of the time. I'm not saying that
I'm
as
joking. I don't give a shit.
No, I care, Marco.
No, I mean they are sex workers, but they're also hookers.
Okay. I don't
They
know.
were hookers in the game.
They were.
You know?
They were hooking.
Yeah, they were hooking.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know Sarah from the game. I don't know if she has an OnlyFans or not. She's just she was a hooker.
Okay.
On the streets.
Yeah.
All
right. That's fine. That's fine by me. But it's funny to see that how far this game has sort of developed.
Yeah.
In a way, in sort of, I guess I can't say maturity yet because we don't know anything else about it. But the fact that it's going to have a representation of you playing as a woman.
Yeah.
A Hispanic woman, apparently, from what it said in there.
Yeah. Double whammy.
Which I saw a tweet that got me pretty good, which is like anytime they announce or anytime that there's any piece of content with a Hispanic woman or a Hispanic person in it, and it's just like the worst, like most cliche Spanglish, like just injected terribly with, oh, my abuelita.
Oh yeah, when they like any kind of headline or something.
Yeah, and it's just so obvious, and I hope Rockstar doesn't go that route.
Yeah,
where it's very cringe and not how actual people speak.
Oh yeah.
Because I'll be able to tell.
Yeah, I mean, just hire like even when they hire Latin people, they still write terrible fucking dialogue.
It's not them.
Yeah.
it's the other writers in the room saying, other people won't get that. So
yeah, we need to reach across the aisle on this one. Make sure everybody understands what you're saying.
Chica.
Ay Dios mijo.
Ay Dios mío.
Well,
sorry, mommy.
This got announced and
ejectocito, cuz.
Unsurprisingly, there were opinions on because at first, the first announcement was that it's going to be that you'll be playing as a female protagonist. Mm-hmm. Then there was clarification that it was a Bonnie and Clyde situation.
Right.
But before that came out, everyone was under the assumption that you would be playing as one character,
right,
and it would be a female character.
Yeah.
And some people weren't happy about that, to say the least.
Yeah.
GTA finally going woke. Because apparently woke is now just anything that's not white Americans.
White male
Americans. That's it.
Yeah.
Anything outside of that. That's how much that umbrella is covering
wokeness.
Now.
Yeah.
Woke is literally anything that's not a straight white male.
Sure.
American.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, they gotta stay in their place,
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
They
Latina women.
They
gotta stay in their place, and that's not in my Grand Theft Auto. I'll tell you what.
We didn't get any information other than that the character was female.
Yeah.
How do you take anything from that? I don't it's barely news, except for the fact that this franchise has never used a female character. Other than that, it's barely news.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's something along the lines of the Black Superman controversy. Black Superman, in which there's a lot of people getting mad because they're saying, "Why is this changing? This has never been this way before."
Yeah.
This game has never had that before. This movie, this franchise has never had that before. Why are we changing it?
Yeah.
And the simple answer is because they can.
Yeah.
The experience of Grand Theft Auto has never, unless it's speaking directly to a certain life experience or parodying something, it's never been about specifically the male experience.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That doesn't matter. You can have a Grand Theft Auto and play as a female character. Like, that's totally in the realm of possibility and it being totally fine. How does that change anything for your experience other than the character being a female? Literally.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only difference.
Well, and
What's the problem?
it's not like they are remaking GTA 5 with an all-female cast.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're not taking the character that you love and going, Trevor is now a woman.
Right.
You know. And even if they did, like, that would be a really interesting take. I don't know how it would work, but that's neither here nor there. But
Yeah.
they're not even gender swapping any characters. They're just introducing. And this is the other thing. People always say things like, I don't have a problem with, you know, a black character or a female character. It's just the fact that they swap the characters that I love. I don't want a black Batman. I don't want a black Superman. Why
don't you just make a new black superhero?
Right. Okay. They're doing that. This is an all new character.
Yeah.
So now what's the problem?
Because they don't want to play as a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
I think that's it. I think we cracked it.
Yeah.
I think that's all it was.
I think that part. I think also is these guys, these fucking guys. The people who have a problem with it, I think part of it is also they're worried about what themes will be explored when you use a female character. Right?
Yes, and also it interrupts their male power fantasy of, you know, being able to go on a shooting spree or punch a cop or something. You know, like,
right.
You can't do that as a chick.
They're not going to believe that a female character can get out and just mollywop a cop right in the face.
Right.
Are there going to be male hookers?
Ooh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to like a male strip joint.
Well, I mean, they're Bonnie and Clyde situation, so, they're in a committed relationship, we're assuming.
Maybe. Are they going to fuck?
Maybe.
Do we get to see it?
What if it's 2-player co-op and you have sex with each other?
You have to. It's you and your boy on the couch, just like.
You want to come in for some hot coffee?
Dude, just oh, nice. Put your hand there, bro. Bro, you don't get it. When's the last time you had sex with a woman?
Fast. Forget it. Forget it.
Just, you know what? I'm not even in the mood.
I have a headache.
I have a headache. Let's just go out into the streets and kill cops. It's sad, honestly.
Yeah.
When you see something like this get announced and like the first hundreds of comments are like, "Oh, GTA's gone woke and
get woke, go broke."
I don't know. At this point, I don't even know what to make of it.
Looks like it's going to be the first GTA I don't buy.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. And you know what? A couple of years ago, we talked about this on the show.
Yeah.
And I admitted to not liking playing as female protagonists.
Yeah.
And it was because my reasoning at the time was because a lot of times in these games, especially when you spend, you know, multiple hours with this character, you kind of, I don't like the idea of playing out a narrative already put in front of me. I like the idea of like, I'm making these choices and I'm embodying this character. And it was harder for me at the time to relate to a female protagonist and embody that character.
You prefer role playing as a male?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly. I have since changed my stance on that.
Okay.
And you're not going to like this. Not you.
Okay.
But it was because of The Last of Us Part 2.
Nice.
That really changed my perspective on what it meant to play as a female character and what it meant for me putting myself in the shoes of these characters, because not only do you play as two females in that game, which was again,
God forbid,
that was such a, for a lot of people, an insurmountable hill. It was too much.
Yeah.
One maybe. But the one who killed our beloved Joel, spoiler alert, if you haven't played the game.
You got to put a spoiler ahead of time.
I don't think I do. That game came out years ago.
I guess.
If you haven't seen the controversy on that at this point, it's like...
I guess. They are remaking the first one, though. And there's going to be an HBO TV show. So a lot of people may not know that happens.
Yeah, fuck them.
All right.
I'll put...
Okay, don't angry tweet me.
Yeah, angry tweet me. Fuck you. I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
So... Yeah, that really, changed my perspective on like what it meant to embody these characters and what it meant from a storytelling aspect.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I've changed my tune on that.
Okay.
Not like I deserve any round of applause, but I'm gonna put a round of applause here.
Yeah.
Because I edit the video.
Pat your own
so
back.
I'm gonna pat myself.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna put that in there. But yeah. So I'm looking forward to this, especially like I was fine with the female protagonist. I was like, that's going to be fun. And then when I learned that it was a Bonnie and Clyde thing, I was like, that's going to be even more fun.
Yeah.
Because I fucking love the fact that it was a team of thieves. And if they're going to continue that in any way, shape, or form, I don't see how they couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I know if the game is based around a couple of bank robbers again, it would kind of be a retread, which I don't think that they would do. They've never done that.
Well, if it's a Bonnie and Clyde thing, inherently you got to be like sticking up joints, right? Like,
they have to.
That's going to be the thing,
Right? Yeah,
they're a criminal couple.
Yeah.
So I mean, that could be cool. I'm just trying to think of like inherently Florida stuff that they could do.
Yeah.
Like, will you be able
Meth.
to like? Yeah, sure. Let's see.
We just end the show there. Meth.
I wonder if you're going to be able to go more places though. Like, will you be able to like take a boat to Cuba?
Yeah. Well, now because the games are so large now, and I don't know how GTA 6 isn't like a massive game.
Oh, it has to be. Can you drive up to Orlando and go on like roller coasters and
right.
stuff?
I mean, if it's going to be as big, if it's going to be even nearly as big as GTA 5, then it's going to be, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you be able to just travel from city to city like that?
Yeah, because you got to think of, they have to make some variety in Florida, because Florida does have variety, but not as much as California.
Yeah.
So
yeah, in Florida you don't get mountaintops and then a city and then beaches all at the same time.
Yeah.
You get a city and beaches. That's it.
Sure. Yeah.
And the cities look pretty fucking similar, so it's gonna be yeah. That's why you do a Vice City and it works in that it's
smaller.
Yeah.
It's like just Miami, basically.
And that's okay because it's based around all of that and the culture of Miami.
Yeah.
But now that these games are so big,
well, in
it's
the
like,
80s.
the 80s. The
thing.
80s rather is the culture of the 80s, not the culture of Miami.
Yeah.
Well, Miami in the 80s.
Sure. Cocaine.
But if you 2022, you've got especially if it's set in present day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way that you don't. You have to be able to
go somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, you just have to.
I did see, or I did read somewhere, I should say, that there is also rumor that there's going to be expansions, like we were talking about, actually, like DLC that will expand upon the actual map.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. That
may be what we're talking about right now. Maybe it'll be a completely different state. Maybe you can like take a plane somewhere or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go back up to New York.
Yeah.
Or New Orleans or something,
or revisit Los Santos.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. There's not much else to pull from this.
No.
As far as like, I mean, it's so early in the process, or so early in development. Them even leaking this information was probably not a good idea. Because I think if anything changes, then it's either going to look like a response to
the
crowd response. Yeah, and I think they probably should have just kept that information to themselves until they were like further along the line.
This was a very weird announcement. Like it kind of
was.
trickled out, and I feel like it may have been like a leak, and they may have just cut it off ahead of time.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know.
Or maybe they leaked it on purpose to see the response, to see how people would respond to a female protagonist.
It could be
because they know that this is a big deal, and they have to know that part of their fan base is just a bunch of scumbags.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, the thing is, their fan base is maybe the widest net you can. I said widest, not whitest.
I thought you said whitest.
No, widest.
The whitest net.
The widest net. No, the widest net you could possibly have of any video game ever. So inherently, you're going to have some bad fish in your catch.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So
some white fish in your catch.
Some white fish. Whitefish is pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously proud to see a Latina in there. So
it's gonna be fun.
Nice. It's good representation. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, we'll check back in, 4 years from now, and we'll let you guys know how it went.
If that.
Yeah. All righty. Yeah. Before we get out of here, you know what we guys have to do. We do it every week because we're going to end on a high note, no matter how negative the rest of this shit is. It's now time for the cheers of the week. So, Obi. I have no beer in here.
I have very little.
Yeah.
We can't cheers with no beer.
Yeah, no, we can't cheers with no beer.
Well, go on.
Well, go on then.
Do you have anything to promote? Do you want me to vamp for anything you want the people to know?
Anything to promote? I got nothing. I haven't done anything. What do I need to promote?
Marco's got nothing. Nothing.
I got nothing.
What
am I grabbing out of here?
I don't know. Whatever. You'll figure it out. Ooh.
Bring them back.
Good choice. Bring it back!
Oh.
Robust.
Yeah. The Pops Porter from Winwood Brewing, which we had on the show before. We got a couple of these guys hanging out.
Speaking of Miami.
Yeah. Topical. And so this was the perfect beer to do for our cheers of the week.
Really
so, back at it. Obi.
Ooh.
What's your cheers of the week?
My cheers of the week, my friend, goes to actually a game I already mentioned before, but I thought it was apt to do it yet again because I actually just beat it.
Ooh.
That would be Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium. Oh, yeah.
Cheers. If you did not tune into that episode, shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
But, hey!
You can't hide.
I just need to reiterate, really, really interesting game. That's a throwback to sort of point-and-click adventures, RPGs of old. Just a really interesting, deep, complex, morally complex. It's almost hard to describe in 2022 because it is such a throwback. Like it's a little bit of a like a motion comic in a way, but you move around and you pick up stuff that you need to use later, and you have to. You're a detective, so you also have to like interview people, but you have this internal monologue talking to you the entire time. You're like kind of crazy. You're also like this terrible drunk, and so like there's so much going on internally and externally in this world where you're trying to solve a murder the entire way through. But there's tons of like political intrigue and other crimes that come up that you can optionally solve that only flesh out the world more. And It is just a wholly unique game that I can recommend to the vast majority of you guys. So check it out, Disco Elysium. High recommendations. I want to go back and replay it because there's some stuff I didn't complete the first time around. But awesome, great game.
That's a resounding endorsement of the game.
It is.
Definitely want to play it.
Yes,
definitely gonna play it. All right, my choose of the week. I had a couple of cool things that I was into or doing or that I wanted to do for Cheers.
There's somebody here that really loves that sound and somebody here that really hates that sound.
This is ASMR. One beer in. My cheers of the week is going to Rick James, bitch.
Timely.
Yeah. Well, so when I was younger, I was like, I had this weird thing for a couple of years where I was just like really obsessed with Rick James.
Okay.
I just was like, this guy is, I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was part of like all of this music that I was discovering at the time and doing like this deep dive into funk music.
Yeah, I was going to say you found funk?
Yes, basically. Yeah. And Rick James was like, because when I was a kid, he was already, I mean, obviously he was already huge, massive, legendary status. But then he had the thing on Chappelle's show, which kind of like reinvigorated people's interest in him and all this stuff. And so I had this thing where I was just like, you know. And so I know his music pretty well. And the other day, I just re-listened to Street Songs, his first album. It's a certified masterpiece. I think it doesn't get talked about nearly enough.
Yeah.
And I've been debating on doing either a TikTok series or like reopening up my Instagram page and start talking about like forgotten classics, like albums that I think more people should be talking about.
Yeah.
Street Songs is one of them. I don't see it on nearly enough lists of like obviously it pops up on like 80s greatest, but I think it deserves to be on like just straight up greatest albums of all time. I think it's not as good as like Off the Wall, but I put it in the same tier or maybe just a half tier below.
Sure.
It's a funk masterpiece. It starts off with Give It To Me Baby. That's the lead song. Then you get this isn't in order, but the songs that are on it, you got Mr. Policeman, one of the first songs in the history of popular music to talk about police brutality. Mm-hmm. You've got In the Ghetto, or Ghetto Life, rather.
Yeah.
Another, like just a masterful...
Certified hood classic.
Yeah. Obviously, you got Fire and Desire, one of the best duets between him and Tina Marie when she was at the height of her powers.
Right.
And then it also has Super Freak on it. If you weren't convinced enough with all of those other songs, you got Super Freak on it.
His two biggest songs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
it
incredible.
is. Street Songs is basically just a Rick James greatest hits.
Yeah.
It has all of his best songs on there. And this just rolls one after the other. And the songwriter, like, you have to realize, like, it wasn't commonplace to talk the way he talked and talked about the stuff that he talked about until he did it. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is a pioneer of like just sweaty, like we're talking about bumping uglies, man. I don't give a shit. There's no subtlety in these songs,
No. Rick James,
give me that funk,
things.
that sweet, that nasty, that funky stuff.
It's not subtle.
Not subtle at all.
Yeah.
And so, I just stumbled on it again, and I've listened to it like 3 or 4 times in a row. And so yeah, my cheers is to the great Rick James. Rest in peace.
Nice. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that one. I'll be honest with you. I've only listened to, an assortment of his classics. I haven't listened to an album all the way through.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm gonna do it.
All right. So we got through it, but we can't finish until we give our review of these brewskis. So
why'd you do that?
So, oh yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Why'd you do that?
Well, we're not going to drink out of it, but I know. From Atlas Brew Works, it is the District Common Craft Lager. Obi, what'd you think?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was very, very crisp, very flavor-filled.
Flavor-filled.
A pretty good balance of those two. I feel like a very good, I'd say grillin' beer.
Oh yeah, it's a grillin' beer.
Out in the hot sun, when you want something with a little more flavor in there than your big light beers, for instance. I would grab this guy. I will say just a hint too malty for my taste. Just a hint, just a little bit. But that being said, still a great beer, in my opinion. One of the stronger lagers I think we've had on the show. I'm going to give it a 4.5.
4.5.
Enjoyed it very much.
All right. Ugh. That pops porter, baby. I'm going to give it a 4. Straight up 4. Nice, crispy boy. Nothing outside the box. I think I don't know the price point on this because they were fortunately a gift from Spencer. Thank you again.
Spencer.
Love you. But if I did know it and it was affordable, because craft lager scares me.
Yeah.
Makes me think that they're overcharging for these guys.
Yeah, me too. I mean, yes, the red flag immediately when you call anything a craft something.
Yeah. It's like, this is an artisan, like,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
how much do I have to spend on it?
They do pay a lot of attention to detail with their branding and stuff. I like what they're playing with here.
Like the pairing, that's fun.
Yeah.
I always love when a brewery is like, this is what this would go well with.
For sure. I do think it is also leads me to believe this may be a bit more expensive.
Yeah. But that has no bearing on my score. I'm saying if it was affordable, I would may bump up the score a little bit because it's just, it's really good.
Yeah.
And if you could get it at a decent price, like a regular, retail store-bought beer.
Sure.
I think I would bump it up to like 4.5.
Yeah.
But as it stands, just based purely on the beer itself, light, crispy guy, falls in line with most of like the decent lagers that I've had.
What you expect from a lager.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Like to know
good soup.
What other what else they got.
I'm definitely interested in what else
the Brew Works
Atlas has.
Yeah.
Because this is a good little first impression.
Yeah. So if we find ourselves up there, which I'll be up there, I'll be close to there at some point. Well, I'm going to Spencer's wedding. Congratulations, by the way.
What? Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. So we'll be in Virginia, which I don't know how close we'll be to D.C. I haven't looked at it.
That's close. I
don't know things.
It's close.
Yeah, I know it's close, but I'm saying, like, I don't know how close we would be to, like, and how long I'm going to be out there. I don't know. A lot of stuff up in the air.
Well, you just remind him on his wedding day to bring some beer for you.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. All right. So a 4 for me and a 4.5 for you, good sir. Do you think we got it?
I know we got it.
Well, then let's get the fuck out of here. This has been the One Beer In podcast. For myself, Marco Dupa, and for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer, and always, always, always have a beautiful evening.
We love you.
Love.